I am sensing some similarities. Interesting. Hello everyone, I am Eli with Common Sense, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Every now and then I do feel a little bit down, but on those days that I get that random boost of energy, I am thankful because it is a great day to be alive and it is a great day to be a good human. The sun is up, the earth is spinning, and we've got these opportunities to be great people to each other, and I just love a new day and the new possibilities that it brings because you can do anything with that day. So recently I've been going to my local rack stores again, and I've been seeing a lot of fragrance clones popping up. You can actually check a video out right here, and I found a Mancera Red Tobacco clone, and it's definitely pretty compelling. I mean, I think it looks really close to the OG bottle, but check out that review up here if you want to check it out. But today we're looking at two fragrances that definitely are inspired, to say the least, by some Tom Ford fragrances. So let's check them out. So first up, we're going to be looking at Ambre Leather. Yeah, if you can't tell, this is an Ombre Leather clone, but oh, I don't know what I'm looking at. It's that uncanny valley of having the same kind of bottle shape, but it's got this weird chin to it. I don't know what's going on here, but it's kind of funny that they went to go with the private line bottle shape versus the kind of cylindrical bottle of the OG Ombre Leather. Also, the atomizer on this is fantastic. As you can see, this sprays out really far and it's almost like a constant stream. It's pressurized and it's almost like you're spray painting. This is definitely a different approach to Ombre Leather. I don't know if they were trying to clone the original Ombre Leather or maybe Ombre Leather 13, I think it was, because that one is similar, but they do have a little bit of their differences. I'm just going to be kind of comparing these two. So Milestone Ambre Leather has top notes of spices, middle notes of leather and jasmine, with a base of sandalwood, amber, patchouli, and moss. So this definitely smells in the same vein as Ombre Leather, but I feel like there's something in it that's quite different. They basically looked at the same notes, but they rearranged them with the ratios and the kind of different ways that they blend them. But I feel like it's a different approach that smells actually really interesting. And I kind of like it. I feel like this one actually smells a little bit more Middle Eastern than the original Ombre Leather. I feel like there's definitely quite a bit of spice in this one, maybe something like saffron or frankincense, because it gives me that really strong, dark, kind of resinous Middle Eastern vibe with a nice heavy dose of leather and jasmine. I feel like there's also a little bit of oud as well, or some sort of agarwood accord, because it smells a little bit more dark, peppery, and just a lot more dark than I remember. I actually quite like that opening a lot. I feel like this is basically Ombre Leather, but Middle Eastern and on steroids. Man, I can't stop smelling that opening. That smells so freaking good. My gosh. As it sort of settles down, you definitely get a lot of smoke in here as well. It's mossy, it's a little bit animalistic. It smells higher quality than I would have imagined, especially with something at this price point and not really being like a Lattafa or like a Swiss Arabian or any of those kind of Middle Eastern fragrance brands. But this one, I feel like this one is definitely a hidden gem. But man, something just so dark and earthy and just sexy about this one. It's kind of mysterious. But as it sort of transitions, you lose a little bit of that punch and it definitely becomes a little bit more even and it's not as in your face, but it still smells absolutely fantastic. So now that I think about it, this actually basically reminds me of Ombre Leather and something like Oud for Greatness or Oud for Glory. Imagine if those two had a baby, this is what you would get. I do feel like this shares a little bit of similarity with Memo's African Leather because it's got that kind of animalistic oud, but it has those kind of sweet and spicy undertones at the same time. But this one is interesting. So with a name like Ambre Leather, you definitely do get that amber throughout the fragrance. It's especially noticeable in the dry down because you have that kind of darkness, but you do have a nice kind of salty and airy amber at the same time. I have to say, this is one of my favorite rack store finds for sure. I think this one's fantastic for the price, and at 15 bucks, you cannot complain. This one, it lasts around 8 hours on my skin, and I actually get really good projection for several hours. Funny story about this one, I actually sprayed this one as well as the next one on a couple tester strips on my front porch, and my mother, she smelled them in the kitchen, and she asked me if I had just sprayed myself in the house because it was that strong. It carried through my open door and through the house all the way to the back of the house with the kitchen, and she thought I just sprayed it on. So this stuff is potent and it lasts a long time. And that one is Ombre Leather. And last up we have Tuscany Leather. Obviously a Tuscan leather clone. You basically have that same bottle, but this one is a little bit more reddish in hue. It's a little bit more burgundy kind of a vibe, but honestly, I think this one looks really cool. So it's also been a while since I've smelled the original Tuscan leather, but this one definitely shares that same DNA, that raspberry, leather, and woods. This one's got top notes of raspberry and saffron with middle notes of olibanum, which is frankincense, and jasmine, and a base of leather, suede, woody notes, amber, and white musk. So immediately off the top, you have that really nice kind of sweet and jammy raspberry. It smells kind of fruity, but at the same time, it's definitely spicy and leather heavy because you have that saffron and the leather. This one's also kind of animalistic like the last one, but I feel like this one's a little bit more feminine leaning because you have a little bit more of that jasmine, that floral, and the kind of fruity raspberry vibe. This one's actually really pleasing because when you spray it, you don't get that immediate blast of alcohol rushing into your nostrils that gives you that headache or that kind of nose blindness, because this one, it smells really nice. I feel like there is a nice depth to this one because you also have the suede and the kind of woody notes in here as well. But the inclusion of the olibanum, which is the frankincense, actually gives it a really nice kind of Middle Eastern vibe as well. Definitely not as spicy as Ambre Leather like the last one, but I think this one actually goes in a little bit more of a softer spice, if that makes sense. Really dark, kind of moody, but at the same time, it's a soft kind of black suede, like a black leather jacket that's kind of been worn a little bit, not something super sharp, but at the same time, it's a little bit more moody and dark as well. I actually really like this one a lot. So on the dry down, this one actually smells a little bit more soapy and white floral, but it also has a little bit of a chocolatey vibe to this one. I feel like it does get a little bit more mature than something like the Ambre Leather. I think this one definitely is unisex, but again, I think this could lean a little bit more feminine. But honestly, anybody can wear whatever they want, and I myself am going to be wearing this one quite a lot. You still have that leather in the bottom, but like the other one, you still have a lot of that amber in the base. It does carry a little bit of that spice, but I think that frankincense still cuts through. It just smells really resinous and woody, and it smells really, really unique. Performance on this one is about the same. I get around 8 hours on my skin, and honestly, if you just spray yourself multiple times, like 6-7 times, this is gonna go really, really far. I think this is definitely worth the price point at $15. I think it's unique enough that you can add it to your collection guilt-free. You can reach for it if you want something kind of dark, woody, and leathery with that kind of same classic raspberry vibe with a little bit of that saffron at the same time, because this one, it carries that DNA, but I feel like it ramps it up a little bit. You're not on that same exact level of quality with the original Tom Ford Tuscan Leather, but this does smell very high quality. Definitely better than any $15 fragrances that are out there at the rack stores. So if you see anything like the Adidas fragrances or some Nauticas, I would honestly pick this over any of those because this is going to get you a lot farther. You're not going to have to use as much, and it's going to smell a lot more expensive than it really is. And that actually goes for both of these fragrances because they are very high quality. They are wonderful renditions and interpretations of the Tom Ford fragrances, and I think if you pick any of these up, then you are going to be really happy with your purchase like I was. If you can look past this really strange kind of extension of the 50 ml bottle, I mean, it looks like there's some sort of base. It almost looks like a trophy, but if you can look past that, these are solid for the price, and I can recommend these to anybody looking for a high quality fragrance. And that does it for today's video. Let me know if you've seen any of these particular fragrances or if there are any other Tom Ford kind of clones that are floating out there that I haven't seen. I would love it if they made like a Neroli Portofino or maybe something like a Noir de Noir clone, because I have been looking for a really good one like that. So let me know if you know one of those. Again, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure making this video, and I hope you learned something new from this. I've been Eli with Common Sense, and until the next time, bye-bye. And I just love waking up.